your hands as you scream out to me for mercy. Fall on your knees as you beg for your life before me. Weep on your own in the face of your own reflection. Yeah. Do what you want, I don't care, 'cause I won't be watching. And you can whisper it, shout it, I don't care. You won't forget what you did. Whisper it, shout it, I don't care. You won't forget what you did when I burn your little red house down.
Hey, it's The Trout, and welcome to KT and The Trout. And if you see, KT's not here today, unfortunately, because one of his children are sick. And he apologizes for not being here, but we still are going to go on with the show because we have to, because we have a great guest today to talk with. And as always, remember to push that little like button that's going to come on now, and it's going to say subscribe now. Tell your friends about KT and The Trout. We are everywhere. KT and The Trout is available on YouTube, KT and The Trout on Instagram, KT and The Trout on podcasts everywhere. So tell everybody about it so we can do more like this as we get into, it's hard to believe it's going to be 2022 already. And we got other guests lined up for next year. It's going to be a fun time. So if you have ideas, let us know. But today we are international again. And today we introduce, I just have this great line in here. I just found it here. British firecracker singer. I love that. So welcome, Lynne Jackaman, to KT and The Trout.
Hey, Rick, thanks for having me.
And so you were taken by the Southern music and the Southern rock.
Yeah.
And as a songwriter myself, tell me how you write a song. I mean, tell me, and this is, I'm always interested in how people do it. Does the moment come over you, just go, I feel like I need to write a song? Or tell me a little bit about how you do it.
It varies. It varies.
It varies with everybody, but I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, for me, it varies. There are times when I've got to, it's literally, I'm just full, emotion. And I'd have to, it's not even about, will a great song come out of this, or will a song I'm happy to release come out of this? It's a way to express, and I think, and then there are other times when you do it very intentionally. There are times when I've written the melody to lyrics, and there are times when I'll just have some chords on the piano and then I'll write the lyrics and the melody over that, or I'll just hum along, and then sometimes words jump out. And there are times you don't even go into songs with an intentional, like with the subject. But the music and how it forms, it's, say if there's an element of pathos to it, you're not then going to write the sun is out and I'm really happy, massive show tune. You're just going to be like, there's going to be something a lot more melancholy over it. But I think with, or maybe you will, probably be a big hit. And then on my own stage, for example, it was about 3 a.m. I just didn't feel in a very good place, and I was just like, I need to do something constructive with these feelings. The answer's not going to be in the bottom of a bottle, for example. The answer's not going to be in talking to a friend because they're out of advice. I'd maybe just need to go somewhere a little bit deeper or more spiritual with it. So just got up some simple chords, and then that was when it was like On My Own Stage came. And originally I had this kind of like little three-part kind of gospel BV in the background, which when I then went on to record it live with Clayton, we didn't really think it needed, but I just knew that wanted the chorus to wanted it to be almost like that speaking singing. So it's like in my own sweet way, I'll rise up to you again. And I really wanted it to be like, but then the chorus, on my own, and to sing that out, so that that's the juxtaposition in my voice, is it's that gentleness and that whisper. And then I also just love to kind of belt it, but with absolute control, because well, if you belt it every night and you're not doing it from the right place, you'll soon be stopped.
Yeah.
Just by your body, you would just go, you're totally abusing me. Get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not enough honey in the world to cover that. So yeah.
No, there's no, it's great, but he's not wearing a cape, So I think it's like that, and it just depends. And there are times when you don't. There's many different things. I mean, there's times when I write ideas, seeds of ideas, full ideas on my own, and then there's times when I love to collaborate, to co-write. I love writing with men because I think they can bring this really interesting other angle to it lyrically sometimes.
Different
One
point of
shot
view.
lyric. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, One Shot was very much from my my perspective, a woman's perspective. So, and I think that shows through. But now, having, if you like, got that off my chest, what I'm working on and what I'm writing now is very different. And she said the live from home stuff that we started doing, that I'm doing through Patreon, it was just a direct consequence and my answer to the lockdowns over here, because we've had a lot of them.
Yeah.
And the arts were like the last thing to open up, and even then it's still like quite sketchy at times. And it was just the way I could still perform, still stay engaged with my fans, and still survive. So but what was amazing that is that I approached some covers and all sorts of things. And I recently did a show on there where I performed a few songs that didn't actually make it to record, which they loved. So then I'm just going, oh, it's like a fish doesn't know it's in water until you take it out, right? So I'm too close to it. I'm kind of, oh, you think that's good? Oh, okay, well, maybe I'll go back and have a look at that. So it's great because you've got the sanctity and the safety of your fan base there. You're probably most hardcore fan base because, they're becoming members of this private page.
Right.
And you can just try things out, and it's great. So that when I now go on tour next year, I'm just going to have this different level of confidence, I think. And it's also helping me to experiment and come away and evolve from One Shot into what I do next. So it just, nothing's wasted,
When you're talking about your fan base, aren't you a little concerned? I mean, you obviously want to broaden it out.
Yeah.
But you got to get people out there. And I tell people this all the time. When you're a performer, I don't care what you're doing, the best way I can describe it is you just sticking your butt out there and letting people kick it all they want to. You just have to take it. I mean, I used to be really, when I first started performing a long time ago as a kid, I'd want people to come hear me and want to see me and go, whatever. And now I just don't care. I mean, if you like what I do, you like it. If you don't, you don't. That's okay.
People are also, because people can do so much now on their own, artists can be heard, can go viral, can chart without being signed to a label,
That's
because
right.
of, it's a completely different world now. And actually to kind of own your music is where a lot of the power can be, especially with syncs and things like that, So it's kind of, it just depends.
Well, and I think too, I had to learn how, even though I'd been in the studio before, but I had to learn how to use a digital workstation, because and all that, compression and all. I'm going, I don't remember side change. I don't know all that stuff. So you're trying to do it, and then I see people that are really, really good at it, and I'm going like, am I missing something out? And I go, well, people still like what you do, and I go, okay, I guess I'm not. So when you record, do you okay? When you got an idea and you're sitting at the piano, do you immediately go, oh, I need to record that? Or do you write something down?
I've got my phone, and
so you just use your phone. Okay.
Yeah, I use my phone, and then quite a powerful tool is that when you've got the chords and you kind of get, the sequence that you want that's working, and you can hear when the melody's going over,
right.
You or I will then, I'll just like ad lib over it, and it could just be like utter nonsense. Like, I'm gonna mow the toilet today, and I'm gonna sew the oven, and it doesn't matter. You just, and it's almost like it can be a stream of consciousness where you just, I mean, you sort of actually, it fascinated me when I recently watched the Beatles 5-hour documentary, Get Back, and that's how they did it. I think, they were just, and part of creativity has to come from being relaxed. And I think that the fun is not being scared to inject humor, not being scared to make a fool of yourself, not being scared to fail is really important, because you can't have it all. It's like, you got to work for this. You got to earn it. If it's out there in the ether, it could land on anyone's lap or anyone's fingertips or anyone's tongue. So it's like, be humble, leave your ego for the stage and that kind of stuff. But you do know it's weird. You know when you're in the zone, in the same way where it's one of those things that you can recognize it, but you can't necessarily articulate it. So
no, you can't.
It's, you know, like you could go say, you're single and you're looking for someone, right? And you look on paper and you got all these like names and you're like, well, you know what they look like? They'd be amazing for me. And I'm going to meet with them. I'm going to meet with them. I'm going to meet with them. Right. And on paper, it's awesome.
Yeah. And then you meet
them. And by the end of the night, you're going, oh, just give me a double something. I'm just over this. Right. And then it's when you're on your way out, you bump into someone in the street and they're perfect for you. And you know it because you get that feeling and you get, don't get me wrong, relationships and love take a lot of hard work. It's not like lightning bolt and then you're together for like 50 years. Absolutely not. But I think because love is an action and compromise and all sorts, but it was really, it's like that. It's like you could date someone and you could do all this stuff. And then when you kiss them, it's just not there. And then with someone else it is. And music writing, because if you think about it, you can't, it's not something you can hold or smell. It's not a tangible object. So you're kind of dealing within the realms of magic, I guess, in many ways.
Do you feel, and when I play out and people come up to me and go, wow, you're really good. Or they'll come up, that lead break you did was phenomenal. That's
got to make you feel good.
Well, it does. But, you know, Lynn, to be quite frank with you, I'm really kind of embarrassed about it. And I'll tell you why. It's a gift. I mean, I was given the gift. Do I work at it? You were given a gift of being able to write songs and have a beautiful voice. And so it's really humbling for me because I go, yeah, it's nice that people recognize my talent, but I didn't get, somebody gave me that. Somewhere along the line, I was given the talent. And,
yeah, but you showed up. You showed up.
I did show up.
And it is also, there's a difference between a gift and a skill. And I think that, you know, looking after something, whether it be your voice, practicing and keeping your chops and your licks up on the guitar, that's a completely different thing. And also keeping one eye on protecting yourself and your environment so that you can stay creative and not tarnished by external opinions and influences, but then also having, you know, your other eye open enough that you don't miss opportunities and you don't become ostracized from the fact that it is about people. It's like, you know, the way we met, you know, it is about networking. It is about, but you can't, one thing, you know, at times when I've stood still, it's because I've needed to really rethink, because I've always had a philosophy that you shouldn't confuse movement with progress. You know, I think it's a creative thing and a musician thing.
Well, that's a cool way of saying that. I never thought of it. That's true. Movement and progress are two different things.
They are. And there's this pressure where you just always think, I have to be busy all the time. I have to be doing something. The phone has to be ringing all the time. And you realize as you grow in your relationship with yourself that the biggest pressure anyone puts on you is you. And especially if you're in anything creative, you're kind of self-employed. So there's not enough hours in the day. You're not just 9 to 5ing where you stop then and then you just, what doesn't get done. Someone else will do it.
Someone else is going to do it.
Someone else is going to do it. And you don't get sick days. You don't get holiday pay. So, you know, and that's been interesting during the pandemic. But I think that if you want something enough, you know, then as we said about taking steps earlier, you just kind of oscillate and magnetize towards a step to the left there, a step to the right there. And by the end of it, you've done the right dance moves where you just end up on the right stage. And for me, it's like you ask me why aren't I bigger or this and that, and that to me.
And I know that's a silly question to ask you, but and I'm sure you ask yourself
it's bittersweet because I think like, oh, you know, it's not something I think about in that respect. But one thing I do know is that anything can happen, and life is very strange. And I think that your duty to something that you love, and you maybe got a gift for, or a skill for, or maybe just work really hard and you weren't any good at it and you've got yourself good at it through sheer determination and practice, is you need to show up. And I mean, like, show up with yourself. It's not even, as I say, being busy all the time and saying yes to everything. It's about showing up and saying, right, seeing yourself as what you are, even when you don't feel like you're being that. I guess some people used to say, fake it till you make it, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
But you have to act like it's yours before it is. And that's one of the hardest things to do, I think, is one of the biggest jobs you have when you're in anything creative, or that I have, is to just keep believing in yourself. I can do this, because everyone can self-release and everyone can do stuff now. It's like, it's such a saturated market.
Yes, it is.
I'm
Because
sure
I say
they find
it's a
it.
giant lake that's an inch deep.
It's
It used to
it's
be a very
huge.
small lake that was
Mhm.
1,000 feet deep, and now it's just a lake
Yeah.
it's this deep.
Yeah, it's like
and
the abyss, you know,
it's
and you got to wear the right goggles to even be able to see the stuff down there. And it's enormous, and it's like this massive, literally this web now. And if you go on Spotify or anything, you play one song and it can introduce you to loads of others, and it's kind of infinite. But I think that it just really, no one else is you, you know. And I think that comparison can be the root of all evil. And I think that you need to have the bravery, because I think if you create the trend rather than taste, you'll always be chasing it. Because if you've already heard it and you've heard someone do it and that's what you're imitating, it's already old news. By the time you try and be like them, which, by the way, they're already doing pretty well at doing that already.
Yeah,
like
they're doing all right. Yeah.
They've got it covered, right?
Yeah.
You're just gonna end up. So it's just like, I just try and be me, but then you've then got to get over the, oh, am I good enough? I feel like a fraud. Which is where friends, looking after self, positive thinking, and all that come in, and knowing when you just need to switch off and have your duvet days. Don't look at social media. You know, call your mum, call your dad, call your best mate, and just allow yourself to just be, no judgment. And that's really hard.
So where do you think you're going from here? I mean, what do you want? This is a question I ask.
Mm-hmm.
You could wave a wand.
Yeah.
Money was no object. What would Lynne want to do with her life?
There is an answer to that in music, and there's an answer to that out of music. I mean, the thing, I've never been materialistic. I've never wanted money for the sake of having money. I've never needed money to feel like me. But what would be lovely and pretty handy is having enough money where you don't need to worry about money. And I think that it's that freedom from that, and it comes and it goes, and you can have brilliant months in music, you can have terrible months, you know, and if you didn't, you know, you'd probably have nothing to write about. And I think that I'm also a huge just animal lover. And the thing for me is that if
cats,
money,
I know that you're a cat person.
I love cats, and
I'm a dog person, so
I do love dogs as well, but cats are a little bit easier to just have around if you're away a lot and that. But I think you know, I've tried to do just or have done, you know, little fun runs and things like that to raise money for reforestation of orangutans in Borneo, and for me it's just, I just feel like I need to grab animals and apologize on behalf of humans. I really do. It breaks my heart, and I think that it does. And I think,
well, it's funny because you like cats and they don't care.
Oh, they just don't care. They just don't care. Utter divas. And I just feel I'd love to be involved in that, or, you know, with music where it brings money and awareness to causes that I really believe in. And I think musically it would be, I've always had a fancy about going to New Orleans. I'd love to go there. I haven't been there.
Never been there? It's another country. It really is. It's completely different.
I'd love to go, and I'd love to go with, you know, a bunch of songs and literally just like a laptop and just grab all the local musicians, give them some scores, and just go like, just give me what you got, you know, and then just use what we've got. And I'd love to do that. I think as well that with the group of songs I've got, I'd love to just hunker down somewhere in the new year, and just go somewhere like residential and just get those songs done, but as live as it can possibly be, so that you've just got that oxygen in the song. I think that music can become There's nothing more powerful than when somebody picks up an instrument, a guitar, or sits behind a piano and sings and uses the acoustics of a church, of a room, and you're just like, wow. And there's no trickery. So the live shows that we do, for example, on my Patreon, they are one takes and they're live. Like,
yeah, I know. Yeah, I've seen.
Mistakes and all.
Yeah.
And I think, and it's also, you know, that thing of like, you know, everyone playing to click, everyone quantizing. There's something, human beings aren't metronomes. The heartbeat changes, you know, tempo at times. Like it's not natural. And that's where some of the best bands like the Beatles and the Stones, it's like when they all went out of time, they all went out of time together.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it kind of worked. And that's my school of, that's where I get attracted to it. So it's to just try and always better what I've done, and to meet new people through music, which is I've met some of the greatest people through my adventures of music so far. It's amazing. And to just look back at the end of, you know, next year and just kind of sit there and just think, did that really happen? You know, that would be great. So just to keep growing, to write better lyrics, write better songs, meet great people, and to try and get involved as well in the causes that I really believe in. So that would be a good thing for me.
And I see a lot, and I can see now why you do what you do. Your personality is I had no idea who you're going to be. Of course I don't. I see you on Instagram, you see the cute pictures, I see the videos. But your soul is deep, and I mean that with all sincerity. And I love people that are like you, because we don't care, and you don't care about the fame is great, but if you can take your talent and do what you want to do and then help other people, that's even better for you. And get your bills paid along the way is okay too. But
and survive,
and
I give back. And it's not that it's not like I have low, you know, I'm not Adele or Ed Sheeran. It's not like I have had huge success and have loads to give back, but it's, you know, that's kind of in my future plans as well, where it would just be wonderful to kind of help and give back in that respect, where I've learned so much already, even when there's still so much more to learn. And I think it just makes you everyone looks back at, you know, as far as like 2 years, a week ago, 5 years ago, and just thinks, God, if only I knew now what I knew then.
Lynne, thank you very much for coming on the show today. Wish you massive success. KT and I will do our best to let people know about you, and hope to talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much, Rick. Thank you.